Hello! SNL is back tonight, so I'm also back. In case you're new, I think Weekend Update is bad and easy comedy, so anyone could do it, including me, which is why I attempt to guess Weekend Update jokes every week. Apologies for the really wrinkled background. Here are tonight's top stories. Trump has apparently discussed with advisors whether or not to give preemptive pardons to his 3 oldest children, Jared Kushner and Rudy Giuliani. This is obviously just a mess, and many jokes can be made about it. The funniest thing to me is that Giuliani has somehow managed to wedge his way into the Trump family in such a major way. Like, he ranks above Tiffany, Barron, and Eric in Trump's preference for people who call him daddy. The Trump family Christmas card should look pretty interesting this year. Giuliani's lawyer has claimed he's not concerned about an investigation because he didn't do anything wrong. Which must be true, because only an innocent person would ask for a preemptive pardon. The only question is, what charges are they trying to protect themselves against? Are we soon going to find out about draft dodging and bestiality, or are we limited to the crimes we already know about? In similar news, the Department of Justice is investigating the White House for a potential bribery for pardon scheme. Trump tweeted about it, saying, "Pardon investigation is fake news." Unsealed federal court documents beg to differ on that one. I don't know why Trump is trying to distance himself from this. He thinks he's a great businessman, and this seems like a pretty lucrative business idea to me. Time named their first ever Kid of the Year, Gitanjali Rao, who is a scientist and inventor who built a device that can detect lead in drinking water. Rao is 15 years old, and her selection as Kid of the Year is honestly a slap in the face. Last year, Greta Thunberg was Time Person of the Year at 17. Apparently, the transition year to personhood is 16. This revelation gives the song 16 Going on 17 a whole new meaning. That's not a great joke, but whatever. Juno star Elliot Page has come out as transgender, stating he identifies with the pronouns he and they. For those of us who were growing up during the X-Men phase of Page's career, this is not even close to the biggest change in the public's perception he has gone through. The biggest change was when we realized that Kitty Pryde did nothing wrong, and Rogue is a whiny baby, and Bobby should have dumped her for Kitty way earlier. I hope other people understand that joke. Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona wore a pink wig and zebra-striped coat to Senator Mark Kelly's swearing-in ceremony. The senator has been wearing bright wigs throughout the pandemic to show her solidarity with Americans who are practicing social distancing, especially at hair salons. First of all, I love this. Second of all, I am ready for the revolution, Senator Sinema. A week after the Thanksgiving holiday, a spike in COVID cases is expected after millions of Americans traveled across the country. Here's a guest to talk about it. I don't know who it will be or what they will say, but they're going to talk about it. Now for some news from the CDC. The CDC has reduced the recommended minimum quarantine time for people exposed to the virus, 7 days with a negative test and 10 days without a negative test. Changing from 2 weeks to 1 week is honestly a huge deal. For example, going to Popeyes 7 days in a row is fun. Going there 14 days in a row is sad. A panel advising the CDC has recommended the order that different groups should receive the COVID vaccine. First would be residents and employees of nursing homes, along with healthcare workers. Then essential workers. Next, adults with medical conditions that put them at high risk of COVID infections. And finally, all other adults. The only catch to this plan is that kids would not yet be eligible for the vaccine, which, as far as downsides go, is not a terrible one. The Supreme Court has ruled against restrictions at religious gatherings during COVID. This decision placed the court in a strongly conservative stance shortly after Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed. The majority claimed it was an issue of religious freedom. I wonder if they'll feel the same way when my share-based religion has its annual gathering of thousands of people in one building. Freedom of religion, I can have whatever religion I want, so. Sarah Fuller is the first woman to play in a Power 5 football game, kicking for Vanderbilt this week. She really shattered the glass ceiling, proving that women too can help a football team lose 41-0. Trump has raised $170 million since Election Day for an election defense fund, which allegedly could fund his next political move, or possibly just his next ratings disaster. In the most ironic of all ironic headlines, King of Disenfranchisement, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, has rejected Trump's calls for him to invalidate mail ballots. It makes sense, though. Kemp is a planner. He likes to get all of his voter suppression out of the way before Election Day. If he waits until after, it makes him look like a procrastinator. It's Christmas time at the White House, and things are confusing this year. The Christmas decorations are normal, and there are 20 parties scheduled, and masks are not required. The Trumps are sending mixed messages. They need to stick to either 100% dystopian dictator or 0%. There's no in between in 2020. If I'm going to contract COVID at a party held by the president, I want to do it standing next to a haunted monochrome hellscape, not a regular Christmas tree. Obama said this week that progressives should avoid the defund the police slogan, arguing it turns off voters and gets in the way of change. Within practically the same breath, he also said Democrats need to give Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez more of a platform. Obama has apparently expanded his resume to include marketing specialist and old white liberal. Trump has changed the U.S. citizenship test, making it 20 questions instead of 10, some of which have a more conservative frame. It is now more difficult for English language learners. I took a practice test and I got 8 out of 9 questions right. And I recently took a U.S. public affairs class taught by a crazy American history nerd, so I really should have gotten them all right. I had to memorize all of the presidential election years in grad school. The point is, the test is way too hard, and my public affairs class was also way too hard. Warner Brothers announced they're debuting their entire slate of 2021 movies on HBO Max the same day as theaters. The movies include highly anticipated movies such as Dune, The Matrix 4, and the Suicide Squad sequel. With more on this decision that could impact the fate of movie theaters forever, here's Neo from The Matrix. And that's when Neo comes in, and we interview him. I mean, he wouldn't be played by Keanu Reeves, obviously, but one of the SNL cast members could play Neo. I don't know. And then he could say things about movie theaters, I guess. But he would be like, ooh, The Matrix. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we're still getting back in the groove of things, so sorry if it was terrible. I can't tell good jokes from bad jokes anymore. All right, bye.